And Shabbat Shalom, welcome back here to the Light to the Nations. This is the third time, I'm trying to get online. We have been facing several issues in the network connection. That's why we have all these difficulties to post in different streams. But here we are, and so far everything looks good. We were getting disconnected from the internet, getting back, with drop frames, everything was not working properly. So that's why it's such a disaster. But here we are.
Yeah, we are praying so we can have a stable connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
As we say in Spanish, la tercera es la vencida.
Yeah. Yeah, the third attempt is the okay one.
Is the right one. So this is the third time. So let's see that we can move forward. But so far, we are good. So thank you so much for being with us today, despite all these issues at the beginning. And we are so happy, so blessed to be back after 1 week off. As I posted last week, I was not feeling well, but thanks to YaHuWaH, the same day I began to recover. Actually, I got up from bed on Sunday, the following day.
The following day. Yeah.
Yes, and there was something very suddenly, with fever, things like that, and I was not feeling well. But I think I put it in the post as well, that just rebuke the anything that was in me that to be out of my body. And that was on Friday actually, and on Saturday on Shabbat I began to feel
you needed to take that
and
day
just needed to take that day of rest. Yep. And even last night I was again began to feel not that good. And I did exactly the same, just in faith. I didn't tell you this. I was
This is strange because it's like going to the Shabbat and like something doesn't want us to be here.
And today this is a kind of strange, especially after what we were discussing over the table.
Yeah.
And somehow it's connected to this this study, and it's connected to the issue we were facing as well. Yeah. We are talking in riddles, riddles and cryptic codes. So,
but soon we are going to share that because it's something very interesting.
Absolutely. So, anyways, thank you so much. I see many of you connected here. Let me see who is with us today. Camila, Wendy, Watai, Shannon, Corina. We see cover to cover with Jeremy Byers. DDK, Heidi. Marcia is with us too.
Katie.
Yeah. Steven is here as well. Mom is here as well. Edwin, welcome.
Welcome. Yeah.
I think it's the first time I see you here, so welcome.
Yeah. And a little ago it was Kyle in the previous one.
I saw Kyle.
So in case that you are here. And then it was Jimmy Marie Isabel.
I saw Jimmy Marie Isabel too in the previous one. Yeah. So today we will continue with the study of YaHuWaH. We'll continue with the portion 78 we called, and this is the chapter 11 until chapter 13. And we title this
I don't know, how do you title this?
Ruach YaHuWaH.
Okay.
Okay. And thank you so much. I pronounced it correctly. That's perfect. I'm trying to improve my pronunciation.
Okay, about what?
Not many do. It's about the way I pronounce it.
Okay.
So it's Ruach YaHuWaH. It's three chapters, 11, 12, and 13. And we are going to talk about the Ruach of Elohim. And there are so many other things in this portion that are very interesting. And I was sharing with Lillian some of the things that when I was studying, when I was on bed last Shabbat, I was taking all my notes and studying the portion, taking advantage that I had more time. And Abba was giving me a lot of insights about things. And actually what I share with you today is what I got on that day. And we are going to touch base a little bit on that, but I think I need to prepare a more profound study. Something needs to be quick. But more in depth and specific to what I receive, and is connected, by the way, just for you to understand, the riddle is connected to the Ruach of Elohim and what is written in this passage that we are going to touch base a bit today. So without further delay, because we are somehow in a hurry today. We have so many things to do, but we are going to allow the Ruach to go in the time and in the depth He wants us to do. So,
and according to our calendar, the one that we are following according to the scripture, tomorrow we are going to celebrate Shavuot.
That's true.
So we have to also, tomorrow we are going to be doing
That's
some
why
bread.
we are preparing everything and also thinking our mindset on what's going to happen tomorrow. So let me share with you a song just to get into the spirit, is to get into the atmosphere of the study. So here we go.
Let the one who hears the Savior say, come. And let the one who is thirsty come. Behold the Alpha and Omega, beginning and the end. In Him we will never, never thirst again. הרוח והכלה אומרים בו, הרוח והכלה אומרים בו. They say, come, come, oh, come. אומרים בו, הרוח והכלה אומרים בו.
And it's true when the life is very hectic currently. It's so crazy that I didn't want to stop the music because, when we hear the water and when we hear the wind, it's something that connects us with somehow with the truth, with Yahuwah. And that's why it's so important to have those moments of disconnection from the day-to-day and from the world, and to connect ourselves with the Ruach of Elohim. And it's the only way, it's the only space, it's the only moment that we are going to have a true shalom. And in the craziness that we are living, and I think all of us were going through some difficulties and craziness, and we need to find those spaces. And this morning we were talking with Lillian about this. It's up to us. It's a decision we need to make, and we need to have discipline. And sometimes having the discipline is not easy because we are so bombarded by so many things in our day-to-day. But we need to do the extra effort. And we know that we serve someone that is giving us the strength. That is the only one. That is not through our strength, it's through his strength, through his Ruach, that we are able to do that. And when every time that I hear this song, it's inevitable to me to go 1 year back on time. And when we were visiting our brothers, some of them are here, and we were playing this song, and it was such a special moment that that's why every time that I hear this song, I come back on time, and I began to feel exactly the same emotion, spirit that we were feeling back then. So it's beautiful. That's the way we need to feel all the time, is by serving and worshiping Yahuwah and doing it in spirit and in truth. So I will invite you to close your eyes and let's pray before we begin the study. Yahuwah Elohim Sabaoth, we want to give thanks to you for everything you do for us. Thank you, Yahuwah, because you are the one giving us the opportunity once again to have this virtual gathering. You are the one making a way for us to share your word among us, with the only desire of our hearts to serve you in truth and in love, and to know you better, Yahuwah, by studying your word. You have revealed yourself through the ages, Yahuwah, through your servants, and you have allowed us to know you by your written word. And it's so wonderful to understand that it's not only your written word, but also your word made flesh, your Son Yahushua and your Ruach HaKodesh. We want to tell you, Abba, that we want to serve you with all our strength. We want to tell you, Yahuwah, that we need you more than ever. We want to tell you, Yahuwah Sabaoth, that we believe in you with all our heart, that we acknowledge that you are the only true Elohim, the maker of the heavens and the earth. And we want to tell you, Abba, and remind you that we have made a decision. Many years ago, we made this decision, Abba, to give our hearts and our lives to you. And the only reason we are here is because of that decision that we made, understanding that only in you there is life. That it's only in you where we find expectation and hope. That out of you, Abba, there's nothing. Only perdition and no life. Yahuwah, in this moment, in this Shabbat, where we are keeping it with all our hearts, to show you our love for you by keeping your commandments, we lift up our voices to you, Yahuwah Sabaoth, asking how that you can be with us, among us. Because if your presence is not with us, Abba, we are nothing. We need of your presence and your Ruach within us and among us in order to feel and live in our experience that we are had with you and that we are your body, your people, Israel. Guide us, Abba, in these times of difficulties and craziness, where everything is prepared outside in this world in order to lead us astray from you, in order to put a wall between us and you. But we know, Yahuwah, that in you there is the power in order to make those walls to fall down like you did in Jericho. And the way to do it is by speaking your word, by worshiping you, by sounding the shofar. And we are here with the intention of our hearts to do that, because you are the one breaking those walls. You are the one making the path, and that path, that way is your son Yahushua, who is the door, in order to come back to you. Change our hearts, change our mindset in order to recognize where we are, but most importantly, to recognize who we are, because you are your children, your people, Israel. And we pray in this moment, Yahuwah, that you will make us remember you and remember your ways. Remember your truth, and remember the reason and the purpose for why you created us. Guide us in everything we are going to do, Yahuwah, today. Allow your Ruach to speak through us, and not only through us here, the two of us, through your children here with us at this time, and also through those that are going to see this study later on. Abba, be with us and allow us to feel your presence in this moment. I pray for anyone that is in need, that is going through any disease, that you can touch them, O Yahuwah, with your mighty hand and provide to their needs, to provide healing to their bodies, to provide a way out from any difficulties that are going on, that you can touch their minds and their hearts in order to find rest in you, because you are the source of everything, and we recognize you as the source of everything, because you are the one that is sustaining our life. You are the one who is giving us life, O Yahuwah, and that's why we praise you and we worship you, because you are the only true Elohim, and we follow our Mashiach, Yahushua, the one you sent to us in order to bring salvation, not only to your people, but for the entire world, and the one you are sending very soon, a second time, Yahuwah, in order to restore all things and to accomplish and to complete his plan of restoration of all things. Yahuwah, thank you so much for being with us. Todah for everything you do for us, and for giving us once again the opportunity to share your word in your Shabbat. We love you, we praise your name, and we pray to you in this moment, in the mighty name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, our King. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so let's begin. Let's go to the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, chapter 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to read this one, and actually maybe you can read the next two, because the 12, I can read the 12, and that's not an issue. So just to put more in balance.
Okay.
So beginning chapter 11, verse 1, it says the following. We are going to read entirely, and then we can make some comments. I have a lot of notes, but we will try to be concise and to the point, okay? It says, "And a rod shall come forth from the stump of Yishai." This is Jesse in English, Yishai in Hebrew. "And a sprout from his roots shall be fruitful. The Ruach, the Spirit of Yahuwah, shall rest upon him. The Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahuwah. And shall make him breath in the fear of Yahuwah. And he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and shall decide with straightness for the meek ones of the earth, and shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and slay the wrong with the breath of his lips. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and trustworthiness the girdle of his waist. And a wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and a leopard lie down with a young goat, and the calf, and the young lion, and the fatling together, and a little child leads them. And cow and bear shall feed, their young ones lie down together, and a lion eat straw like a ox. And the nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the adder's den. They do no evil, nor destroy in all my set-apart mountain. For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of YaHuWaH as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Yishai, standing as a banner to the people, and to him the nations shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed. And it shall be in that day that YaHuWaH sets his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left, from Ashur and from Mizraim, from Pathros and from Cush, from Elam and from Shinar, from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall raise a banner for the nations, and gather the outcasts of Israel, and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. And the envy of Ephraim shall turn aside, and the adversaries of Yehudah be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah not trouble Ephraim. But they shall fly down upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. Together they plunder the people of the east, their hand stretching forward on Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall be subject to them. And YaHuWaH shall put under the ban the tongue of the sea of Mizraim, and he shall wave his hand over the river with the might of his spirit, and shall strike it in the seven streams, and shall cause men to tread it in sandals. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, those left from Ashur, as it was for Israel in the day when he came up from the land of Mizraim. This is such a wonderful promise, and it's a combination of so many things that we can be here talking for 12 hours at least. Because he's talking about the Mashiach, he's talking about the Ruach, he's talking about the second Exodus, he's talking about in my view, he's talking about the first coming and the second coming of Yahushua. He's talking about the two comings of Yahushua. And it's so filled with promises for his people, especially for these times that we are living. Okay, so let's try to speak a little bit on this chapter. Do you want to start?
Well, it's interesting what it says, the stem of Yishai. We know that Yishai is the father of David.
Correct.
And it was also amazing how that was orchestrated, because it was, even if you go back to the story, even David, it was a miracle by itself, because he was descendant. Remember the story of Ruth?
Moabite,
and she was the generation that was kind of forgiven, so she was allowed to enter into the covenant.
And he, something before Ruth, it was Rahab. That she was, I think, the mother of Boaz or Salmon. So Rahab from Jericho was part of the genealogy.
So it was a kind of a cleansing, a cleansing of these people, and through them, from Boaz that was single and Ruth that was a widow, they could go together, and it was blessed with this new child. And I remember that Naomi, she was saying, I was bitter before. The name of the meaning of my name is being bitter, but I'm so happy now because I'm holding a child. She was a grandmother now because she didn't have any he lost the children and everything. So maybe she thought that, okay, this is the end, no more descendants. And then we have this promise that through them it was until David. And now the blessing is continuing, because it says now from the stem of Yishai is coming the sprout from his root and shall be fruitful. And we know that sometimes it's like when it's a dead tree, when you have that tree that somebody cut, and you can see, because I have seen it with my own eyes, and maybe a lot of you have seen it too. There is a cut tree that it was like dead, I don't know, like for 100 years, and then sometimes a sprout is coming out.
Absolutely.
With life, because it's not dead yet, and it's not dead. Yeah.
You know, the interesting thing is that when we look into the word stump, it's talking about the trunk of a tree in the Hebrew word. So the only fact that is comparing a man with a tree is something, a recurrent topic in the scripture.
Yeah.
And in this case, as you said, it's not, and if you remember, I was talking to you about this a few days ago. Why not the stump of David?
Yeah, I remember.
Why the stump of Yishai? Yahushua was recognized as the son of David all the time. And nobody told Yahushua as the son of Yishai.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing. I don't have the answer, but what I do believe that David came from Yishai. So the only fact that Yahuwah is saying that this branch is coming from the stem, the trunk of the tree called Yishai,
is like
because this is going to be from the same substance than David. If David came to be, and it was a man and with the heart of Yahuwah, it means that this other one needs to come from the same substance, and the same source is this trunk of the tree Yishai. So is that the only way that this is going to be similar?
Yeah, it's like when you are going back to the origin point when something was like perfect, and you want to have that same perfection. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, one thing that I wanted to share, the word sprout over here is coming from the Hebrew word, I have my notes here, is netzer. And this word, it means greenness. It's a branch. Okay? And this Hebrew word netzer is coming from another Hebrew root word, that is natsar. And there is a lot of beliefs, and I think it's a good theory, that this is the origin, the origin of the word Nazarene. That's why Yahushua was called the Nazarene, or was calling that it was coming from Nazareth. Okay, we know that there was a town in the north of Israel that was Nazareth, that he was living over there, but the origin is the word Natsar. And that's why, you know, the followers of the way in the book of Acts are being called the Nazarenes. And so actually,
it's
Shaul,
not just a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence. Even Shaul was named the ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes, the followers of the way. So I think it's, even though it's not fully confirmed that this is the origin of the word Nazarene that's coming from here, I think it's a beautiful picture of the meaning. It's basically, it's a branch. So we are branches. And this is so beautiful, beautifully connected to what Yahushua said, that he said, I am the vine and you are the branches. So this vine was growing from the stem of Yishai, and is bringing more branches, and it's beautifully connected now that I see the picture that I was drawing, and I was not thinking on that, but it's connected. We are the branches of the same tree that began to grow again from the stem of Yishai. So the Nazarene. And even when we talk about, you know, being a tree without fruits is going to be cut.
It can be cut.
It can be cut and thrown to the fire. So, and actually what is saying here, that this branch, this sprout, should be fruitful.
Yeah.
And being fruitful is something so beautifully connected. And let me share a few passages with you. We will go to the verse, we are going to take this one. In the book of Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 9, verse 1 and 7, and this was after the flood. But we know that in the week of creation, it was exactly the same commandment. Here, Yahuwah is repeating the commandment in order to start all over again after the flood. And what's the commandment? In the verse 1, it says, and Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said to them, be fruitful and increase and fill the earth. And he's repeating again in the verse 7, As for you, be fruitful and increase, bring forth teemingly in the earth and increase in it. And if we go to the chapter 17, verse 6 and 20, this is the promise to Abraham. It says, Yahuwah speaking to Abraham, and I shall make you exceedingly fruitful and make nations of you, and sovereigns shall come from you. And he's repeating again, for Ishmael, he's repeating exactly the same promise. So what's the point here? If we go back to Isaiah chapter 11, it says that this sprout from his fruit shall be fruitful. Is the same Hebrew word. So the intention of Yahuwah is to have descendants, is to have people that are equal to him, is like his image and likeness. And he wants that people to fill the earth. That was the commandment to Adam, that was the commandment to Noah, that was the promise to Abraham, the chosen seed, and is being fully fulfilled by the seed, by Yahushua. And that's why Yahushua is so humble to call us his brothers, because we are being called to be children of Elohim. We are being called to be the fruitfuls, or the fruits that are being named here in this passage. I do believe also that this is also connected to the fruits of the Ruach. And that's why he's speaking about the Ruach in the following verses. Okay, so what else? I have to share something with you here. This is really beautiful. But before that, let's go. There is a beautiful connection I found, and let's go here in the book of Job, that is somehow connecting everything about what is written here in the promise. So if we go to the book of Job, chapter 14, we are going to read from verse 1. We're going to read a bit, okay? So just meditate on what is being said here, because when we take a look in each one of the words and each one of the phrases, it's talking about salvation, resurrection, it's talking about restoration. It's the same topic that we are reading in the chapter 11 of Isaiah. So it says, man born of woman is of few days and turmoil filled. We are experiencing this in these days, right? And it's more evident than ever. He comes forth like a flower and withers. He flees like a shadow and does not continue. Yet on such a one you open your eyes. This is Job speaking to Yahuwah. You open your eyes and bring me to right ruling with yourself. Who brings the clean out of the unclean? No one. No man. But Yahuwah is doing it. Yeah. We have many cases in the scripture, and we are, I think, a living case, each one of us. Who brings the clean out of the unclean? No one. Since his days are decided, the numbers of his months, or Chodeshim, is with you. You have made his laws, and he does not pass over. Look away from him and let him rest. Till, like a hired man, he enjoys his day. For there is expectancy, and take a look on this. For there is expectancy for a tree, if it is cut down, that it does sprout again, and that its tender branch does not cease. It's exactly what is written in the book of Isaiah, and this talking about the promise of Mashiach, but not only that, it's talking about the promise for us, for the resurrection, for the transformations of our bodies. And this is totally connected to the passage because of what is written later. So let's continue. Though its root grows old in the air and its stem dies in the ground, at the scent of water, it buds and brings forth foliage like a plant. So what's the secret for this plant to become living again? Is water. That's why what we're going to read in Yeshayahu, the second part, is about the Ruach of Elohim, and the Ruach is connected to the water. So we need water in order to become alive again. We need water, we need the Ruach of Elohim in order to be a living being. Yahuwah breathed his breath. He put his breath, his spirit in the nostrils of what he created, Adam, and it became a living being. Without the Ruach, we are dead. We need the Ruach in order to be alive. And we can say, we are a living being now. Yes, because we have spirit within us. But in order to have a real life and to have a real expectancy of life, eternal life, we need to have the Ruach of Elohim. Without the Ruach of Elohim, it's not possible. So, but man dies and is powerless, and man expires, and where is he? Water disappears from the sea, and rivers dries up and is parched. And man shall lie down and nor rise, till the heavens are no more, they awake not, nor are aroused from their sleep. If only you would hide me in Sheol, conceal me, until your wrath turns away. Set for me a law and remember me. So he's expecting for the resurrection after the wrath. So the secret, and let's go back to Isaiah. And that's why the connection here about the promise of Mashiach with the Ruach of Elohim. We need the Ruach of Elohim in order to be resurrected. And it was actually the Ruach of Elohim, the one participating in the resurrection of Mashiach.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful picture. And just to finish with the parable of this promise, we have a beautiful comparison on what happened in the wilderness. What happened in the wilderness? With a rod that became alive.
Yeah, it was the almond tree. The rod of Aaron. It was budded, and then it was providing even fruit.
And that was because of the rebels.
Yeah.
They wanted to take over on the government.
Yeah.
And Yahuwah said, okay, bring rods, and the rod of Levi is going to be the one from Aaron, and the one that is bringing flowers and fruits is the one that I'm chosen. And it was a dead tree.
Yeah.
And Yahuwah did a miracle, and actually they took that rod and put it on the Ark of the Covenant as a testimony, as an edut in Hebrew, as a testimony. And all the testimonies I have been telling you in the past are pointing to Mashiach. The pot with manna, the bread coming from heaven is Yahushua. The rod of Aaron with flowers and almonds is also pointing to Mashiach. Where we find this is exactly what we are reading here. And let's keep in mind that the menorah was built like an almond tree because they had almond flowers in the way that was being instructed by Yahuwah to be built. So it's also connecting to the Ruach of Elohim. That is what we are going to read now. So the Ruach of Elohim, it says we find the 7 Ruachot of Elohim. It's basically, and actually, let me show
here
it to you.
We have 6 here.
We have 7.
In this?
Yes.
I counted 6 and then I complemented with Yahuhanan.
I will show it to you.
Okay.
Let me share my notes here just for you to see. Okay, there you have my beautiful notes. So, and I put it in a kind of menorah style because I do believe that it's fully connected to the menorah. So we have the Ruach of Geburah is the Ruach of, first, let's start. It's the Ruach of YaHuWaH. And the Ruach of YaHuWaH is the one at the center where the branches are coming out. So that's why you are counting only 6. So the first one that I'm counting is the Ruach of YaHuWaH at the center in the picture. Then we have the Ruach of wisdom, is Geburah, is Chokmah. Then we have the Ruach of understanding, Bina in Hebrew. Then we have the Ruach of counsel, is Etzah. The Ruach of Mai, Geburah. The Ruach of knowledge, that is Da'at. And of the fear of Yahuwah is Yirah. So there you have the 7.
And then so I imagine
the spirit of truth, I think, is the Ruach of YaHuWaH.
YaHuWaH.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the connection. So we have, and let me just continue with my beautiful drawing. Okay. So, it's a branch.
Yeah.
It's the branch of Yishai, this is the center one, and the different branches, connected to the Ruach is somehow is the tree that he is pushing us to be in, to be, what's the name? Is Injertado.
It was like the last time that we were talking.
It's to be gathered.
No, it's not gathered.
It's another word, but it doesn't matter. My English today is horrible. But it's just to have the pattern and the connection. Okay. What I want to show here is basically the tongue of fire. Yeah. We know that the Ruach of Elohim was manifested himself in the disciples in during Shavuot as tongues of fire, and it's exactly what we see in the menorah. Is the light, is the fire that is producing the light and also the heat in the place somehow. Yeah. Okay. And what is important to understand here is that understanding that those are the 7 ruachot of the spirits of YaHuWaH, that if we connect this with the lamp needs oil to produce the light. That is also pointing to the Ruach of Elohim. And the oil, if we see what's going on in the service on the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, and also in the temple, is that the oil needed to be filled with certain frequency.
Yeah.
Every day. They were filling the lamps with oil in order to light the lamps, lit the lamps in the evening. So what it means that we need to start filling our lamp in a daily basis. So let me go back here.
Yeah, and for that you need to have the other tree. You need to have the olive tree.
Absolutely.
To produce the olives, where you're going to get the oil.
That's true. So if we remember, and this is interesting. I don't know, you have something else to share here? No?
I was going to just compliment that the other spirit, where I was counting the spirit of truth, is in Yahuhanan 16:13. There it says that, it's Yahuwah. I don't know which one.
The spirit of truth?
Yeah. Is when Mashiach says, "And when the Helper comes, whom I shall send to you from the Father, the Spirit of truth, who comes from the Father, he shall bear witness of me." So it was just complimenting that.
Absolutely. And I don't think so, Yarash. I think, he's talking about the Spirit being 7. He's 1. But this is a more profound discussion that most probably it will require more time about what the word Elohim, the plural Elohim, really means. So I wanted to give you a few examples and about the Ruach of wisdom and knowledge, and there is a beautiful example, and it's fully connected to what we were discussing before the broadcast. It's in the book of Shemot. This is Exodus chapter 35, and you are going to immediately remember this story just by telling the book and the chapter, and we are going to read verse 30 and 32. You remember who am I talking about, right?
The strange fire?
No. It says, "And Moshe said to the children of Israel, See, Yahuwah has called by name Betzaleel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah, and he has filled him with the Ruach of Elohim in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge."
When they were making them.
Those are the spirits, the Ruachot of Yahuwah that are being mentioned in this portion in Isaiah Yeshayahu. "And in all work, to make designs, to work in gold and in silver and in bronze and in cutting of stones for setting and in carving wood, and to work in all workmanship of design." There are more examples, but I'm just going to keep in that one. Go ahead.
I just was opening, and
you landed exactly there.
Exactly in that place. But because I wanted to look for the meaning of the name, and the meaning of Betzael, the name is in the shadow of El, And you, in order for you to have a shadow, what do you need? Light.
Mm-hmm.
And Uri means my light. So
Interesting.
everything is related with the light.
So something, and I'm gonna put myself as an example, just to describe the way that the Ruach works, and you can bring much more examples than myself in this area. You know, wisdom, knowledge, understanding comes from YaHuWaH. We have a beautiful example here talking about the Ruach of Elohim, bringing wisdom, understanding, knowledge to do actual work.
Yeah.
In our day-to-day, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding was given, was the manifestation of the Ruach of Elohim. This man, Betzalel, was filled with the Ruach of Elohim in order to do some work. He was being
An instrument.
trained. It was an instrument, and he received the skills that maybe he didn't have before in order to, because he was chosen, in order to produce a beautiful work. So the example that I want to give, and this has not been the first time, and I was telling Lilian, I would like to be more conscious in order to understand and just to grasp this more frequently. I was working for my job when we were in our property in the south. I was working some financial things in an Excel file. And I was, in case you have been working in Excel and a spreadsheet, I was doing a macro, you know, and I was using some...
Formulas?
No, it wasn't formulas. It was... I was writing code in Visual Basic. In case you have been hearing about this, it's not an easy thing. You need to know. I have some basic knowledge about the Visual Basic, so I was putting some automation on the spreadsheet. But since I didn't have all the knowledge, I was looking in Google and just to find some information connected to what we were discussing. And I would just copy and paste and just getting more information. And there was I got to a point when I was getting an error, and it was so specific that it was impossible to look at it for the other people in some forum and so on, because it was so specific. I didn't know how to fix it. But when I was looking into the code and trying to get for some information, I was feeling inside me, do this, change this. Very specific, change this. And I was continue looking, and I was insisting, change this. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I changed it. It worked.
Solved.
It was solved. You know, I had to be humble in that moment and said, "Thank you, Abba. And sorry to be so stubborn."
To look in some other places when you are the
He
one
was
providing
giving me the answer.
The answer.
It wasn't me. It's something that just appeared to me, and this is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that is coming from above. And I know that you have multiple experiences like that, right?
Yeah,
You want to share one?
Yeah. Oh, it could be. It was also time ago when I was also working, and I was trying to modify something that it was also very technically, and I was needing, because it was a program by itself that was made by somebody else, and I was contacted this person, but he was really busy and I needed to solve it at that moment. And it was like out of the blue, it was Ava, because I know it was in the time when I was just learning everything, when I was more inspired. I was even praying while I was working. It's a kind of a moment when your life is like, it doesn't matter where you are like more connected with Ava than with anything else. So I was doing this and I was praying, help me, because I need to solve this. And then it was like that. It was like, okay, go this, go there. It was like all a pattern, and it was a long one. And I was doing all the changes, and okay. And like 2 hours later, the person that was contacted at the beginning, he come to my place, and he said, "Oh, sorry, but I couldn't leave what I was doing and everything. So now we can work on your problem." And then he said, and he asked me, "But you have the problem solved. How did you do it?" And I said, "Well, I was doing this, that." But how could you know that? Because that is impossible that you know that. And I was telling him, because at that time I was sharing with everybody in my office about the scripture, about Yahuwah and everything. And I was just saying, it was him. He was giving me the answer. And he was saying, oh, that was amazing, because that is a complete miracle, because those
are miracles.
Yeah, no way that I could know about doing all those changes and got it perfectly. And that was Yahuwah.
So what the point I want to make is that sometimes we have such a religious mindset, and we need to be true to ourselves, and we need to recognize that sometimes we have that religious mindset, that we don't understand that the Ruach of Elohim, the kingdom of Elohim, is part of our life.
In the practical things.
In the practical things, we are talking about at your office with a computer. I'm talking about a spreadsheet in Excel and doing some coding. And the Ruach of Elohim is revealing those things to us anyways. Why? Because we are His children. He is there in order to bring us and to help us in our day-to-day activities. But we need to be in the proper frequency. We need to be in the proper channel connected to Him. And to be listening all the time, because He wants to help us. So when I'm saying that sometimes we have this religious mindset that we tend to disconnect our daily lives from Him. And that's a huge error, because He is everywhere.
Yeah.
And He is inside us. And He is the one that is the owner of the wisdom, the understanding, and the knowledge for everything. Everything. So we need to understand, and we need to recognize, and we need to remember all the time when we need something, when we have doubts, when we need to learn something. We need to go to the source of everything. And that source of everything is Yahuwah. And He has the Ruach, His Ruach, and I will show you in a few passages in a minute, in order to help us. We don't need any other help. For sure, there's some tools that we can use. But by using those tools that man have created, it should not deviate our attention that the first thing we need to do is to look into Yahuwah, because He is the owner of the truth. And He will guide us in the way that He guided you, even in a computer program, and how to fix it, how to go, how to do it. Because even though that computer program was created by a man, He is the knowledgeable one. He knows everything. He can guide us even in those tiny steps, giving us the wisdom on how to do things. The point is that we need to be brave enough to do two things. First, in order to have the discipline to be listening and obeying. And second,
recognize that it's Him.
But I think that's the result of everything.
Oh, yeah.
The second is to do it.
Oh, yeah.
If we don't do it,
yeah, we're only going to receive the instruction, but nothing is going to happen if we don't do our part.
And we are not going to allow it to flow, as we were discussing in the morning, that we are going to receive, but by not doing, it's going to be stuck. We need to flow, we need to deliver.
Yeah, and it's beautiful when somebody else is watching that and is being a witness. I remember when somebody was doing all this water issue in the field, and they lose a kind of a nut or something that it was belonging to a truck, that it was very important. And I was telling him,
you found that
we are going to find it, because we have somebody who's going to help us. And it was like he was desperate, and we found it. Okay, look, that there you have it. And it was like that. Yeah.
And Camiles is totally right on what she's saying. And remember what we were discussing. Sit still and shut up long enough to take it to Him.
Yeah, that's
we need to sit still.
Yeah. And it's Yahuwah who is telling us, come, reason together, and I'm going to give you the best counsel. He is the one who is going to help us. So it's the first place where we need to go every time that we need something.
So let me go back a bit, just sharing about the Ruach, but let me show you a few additional things here. Let's go to the book of Revelation. First of all, when you go to the book of Revelation, chapter 1, Yahushua appeared in the midst of 7 menorah. And again, we're talking about the menorah in the picture in the drawing that I show you as the picture of the Ruach, because it's 7 is the 7 Ruachot, the 7 spirits of Yahuwah. And Yahushua appeared in the chapter 1, and actually let me show it to you, it's over here. And I turned, it said in verse 12, chapter 1 of Revelation, and I turned to see the voice which spoke with me, and having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. Those are menorahs. So it means that the menorah with the 7 branches that somehow are connected to the spirits, I will show you in a minute. And in the midst of the 7 lampstands, the menorahs, one like the son of Adam, dressed in a robe, down to the feet and girded about the chest with a golden band. And what are the 7 here? What are the 7 menorahs? The secret of the 7 stars which you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden lampstands. The 7 stars are the messengers of the 7 assemblies, and the 7 lampstands which you saw are the 7 assemblies. So the assembly being compared to a menorah, and a menorah with the 7 branches, and each branch with the light representing the 7 spirits of Yahuwah, meaning somehow that each assembly, we look at it, should operate
under the 7 spirits.
The 7 spirits of Yahuwah. That's why it's being compared, the assembly is being compared with the menorah with, that is the 7 Ruachot of Yahuwah. Each assembly, each of us needs to operate on the 7 spirits of Yahuwah. So in the chapter 3 of the same book, it says, and to the messenger of the assembly of Sardis write, he who has the 7 Ruachot of Elohim and the 7 stars says this. So who is this one? Is Yahushua. Yahushua has the 7 Ruachot, the 7 spirits of Yahuwah. In the chapter 4, verse 5, when the Yahuhanan was in the verse 2, immediately he came to the spirit and saw the throne set in the heaven, and one sat on the throne. In the verse 5 it says, and out of the throne came lightnings and thunders and voices, and 7 lamps of fire were burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim.
A menorah again.
A menorah. Again, the lampstand with the fire, the 7 spirits of Elohim, and again, the assemblies compared to a lampstand. And just to confirm, in the chapter 5, verse 6, we have, and I looked and saw in the midst of the throne and of the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders, a lamb standing, as having been slain, and we know it's talking about Yahushua, the Messiah, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim sent out into all the earth. So, interesting. So, Yahushua is the one having the 7 spirits of Yahuwah. And he made a promise to send. It was better for us for him to go up, because if he was not going up, he was not going to be able to send the helper, the Ruach of Elohim. He is the one that sent the 7 spirits of Elohim that now are sent out into all the earth. And actually, just to complement that, if we go to the book of Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, chapter 16, verse 9, it says, for the eyes of Yahuwah, what are the eyes of Yahuwah? The Ruachot, the spirits, diligently search throughout all the earth to show himself to be strong on behalf of those whose heart is perfect to him. So, the 7 spirits of Yahuwah are searching, are available, are into all the earth, and is there for those whose heart is perfect to him. So if our heart is perfect to Him, Yahushua already sent the Ruach of Elohim, and He wants to give us the Ruach of Elohim, and He is expecting that the assembly operates on the seventh spirit of Elohim. And this is so critical, so important. I don't have the time to share the rest with you, but it's so important to understand that we are living in a spider web today. And the spider web somehow is pushing us to disconnect ourselves of this reality that we're talking about now, that is the access and the operation through the Ruach of Elohim with the seventh spirit of Elohim. And we need to be conscious enough to understand and recognize and remember that wisdom comes from Him, and He is the source of everything, and not to get into the spider web. Okay? That was the main topic of the portion today, so that's why we took more time.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add?
No, at this point.
Absolutely, Yarash. Recognize the web of lies. But not only that, there is a conspiracy going on today. And it's not the conspiracy that is written in the book of Yeshayahu a few chapters ago. It's a real conspiracy that began on the 80s, approximately. And a spider web that was implemented and now is going even increasing and increasing. And with what is the conspiracy all about? Is to replace the Ruach of Elohim for something that is man-made. That's why if we recognize that the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, might, truth is coming from the Ruach, we are going to be able to see this replacement that they want to do, and it's exactly that. DDK is the World Wide Web, is the spider web that is getting into more details, even going into our bodies now. So we need to understand that we can use the tools of the world, but we cannot replace the Ruach of Elohim by the tools of the world. Because if we do that, we are going totally astray. And we are detaching ourselves from the truth and the source of the truth, that is YaHuWaH Himself.
And what a spider web does, usually the spider is the one that is creating it from the inside to the outside. He puts some string and he is creating it and it's almost invisible. And what is going to happen is when some other insects are like flying away, very not worry about where they're going to get there, and they're going to get trapped because this spider, it has something that it's like a kind of glue. And then the insect is there, and at the moment that the insect is there, the spider that was hidden, because she was hidden, is going to go put molds. Maybe it's going to keep it for some days, maybe it's going to eat it as soon as she get it, but it's going to be food for that spider. So that is what happened, that somebody else is using that like a food. So we have to think. And sometimes when I was remembering about the feast and everything that YaHuWaH is doing with us, we could be treated like food, but we're going to be treated like food for Him and not for the spider. It's going to be for Him. It's going to be delicious fruit for the King, for the Creator, and He wants to wash us. And when you compare that with the real food, is what you do with the food. You wash it, you take out all the impurities and things like that. So what fruit, for whom we want to be decided to be food? For this system or for our Creator, YaHuWaH? And what I was thinking, you were asking me if I have something,
Sure.
and then I have something. I just remember now. And it says in the verse 4, it says, but with right...
Is there?
Yeah. And it's talking about Yahushua, about the Mashiach. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and shall decide with the straightness for the meek ones of the earth. And then I remember when he was having all this conversation with the Pharisees, because they were asking him, with what right you are judging, with what right you are doing this and that. And he was always saying, I'm not doing this for me. I'm not judging because of my own understanding. I'm just doing what my Father is asking
And
me
actually,
to do.
in one moment, I have the notes here in the book of John, chapter 7, verse 24.
That's the same one.
Go ahead.
It says the same one. And it says, do not judge according to appearance, but judge with righteous judgment. And it was what he was saying. And he's asking us to do the same. Not because of appearance, not because what we think of. Yeah.
Another place in the same book, I think in chapter 5, he said, I'm not the one judging you or accusing you.
Yeah, I'm not coming for that now.
No, he's saying you have already one that is accusing you, that's Moshe.
Yeah, it's the law.
It's the Torah.
The Torah.
Because you are breaking Torah, you are getting accused immediately, not by me, by Moshe. So the righteous judgment is the right rule in the Mishpatim that we are being taught in Torah directly by Abba. You know, that was exactly the point that I wanted to talk about. You know, verse 3 and verse 4 and verse 5 is talking exactly about that. Is judge with righteous judgment, not what we see, is diligently search for the matter and to do it according to the mirror that is Torah for us. And we see so many examples, you know. We should not be wise according to our own eyes. There's multiple passages that's talking about that. Is the one that we were just talking about, the Mashiach.
That the heart can be deceitful. Yeah.
The Kohanim, that not to accept bribes. You know, it is written in Torah and also in Yehezkel that we need to judge with righteous judgment. That we need to differentiate what is righteous from the profane and the kadosh from the profane.
Yeah.
So those are the instructions for the seed that needs to be connected to this branch that is Mashiach. And the other thing is that basically it's saying that shall strike the air with the rod of his mouth is the spoken word. You know, in the book of Revelation it says that he's coming with a sword that is coming out of his mouth. And he's talking about the words, what he's going to say. And you know, if he's doing it in that way, we need to follow his example. We need to watch out on what we are speaking. And we need to let the Ruach to guide us in order to take our mouth. And remember the exercise we were doing a few weeks ago, and trying to speak without moving the mouth or the tongue. You know, the Ruach will put the words in our lips. But we need to allow him to do it. We need to allow him. We need to participate in the process. In any type of language he wants to guide us to speak. Because, you know, he is going to manifest himself through the word. Who is the word? Is Mashiach. And that word will be manifested in a written form or in a spoken form. But we need to do it. We need to write it down and we need to speak about. Because we are not doing it, we don't participate in the process of what Yahuwah wants to do with us. And actually, he's doing it with Mashiach, as is written here. And that's why the sword that is coming out of his word, of his mouth. You know, the next one is saying trustworthiness. Just to put a point here, it says, and righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and trustworthiness the girdle of his waist. The word trustworthiness here is the word emunah. That word is belief, faith. So it's righteousness and emunah is belief, faith. And we need to follow the example. Yahushua said righteousness should be our priority. Emunah, belief, faith. Without faith, we are not going to be able to do much. Okay, from verse 6 to verse 9, it's a beautiful picture of what?
Yeah, about the
kingdom, the millennial kingdom of Yahushua here. This has not happened yet. We are expecting for the time to be implemented here, and what's going to happen is exactly what is written in the verse 9. That in that moment the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah as the water covered the sea. So how the water covered the sea? It's covered, and you know, it's going everywhere.
Yeah.
There's more water than the solid ground on the earth. So it's basically, that's going to be the extension of the knowledge and the manifestation of Yahuwah in this world. Okay, we're not going to go into the details, but it's a beautiful picture on what's going to happen during that period of time. So what else we have here? And in that day, there shall be a root of Yeshai standing as a banner to the people, and to him the nation shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed. Okay, any comments here? For me, this is a declaration of the first coming of Mashiach. And the second is another timing, is the declaration of the second coming of Mashiach and the second Exodus.
Yeah.
What do you think on that?
The next one is, well, when things are going to be put in the past, and it's talking about the envy of Ephraim towards Yehuda, and they are going to live in peace somehow. And it's going to be a gathering that is going to take people from all the places. It says even from the island of the world. So it's going to be a way. It's going to be, the rivers are going to be struck, so they're going to be dry, and it's going to be a way so everybody can get together. So
absolutely. So why I agree with you, and why I say this is a promise of the first coming of Mashiach, or the fulfillment was happening in the first coming, is because when we go into the Hebrew, it says that the root of Yeshai that we know is pointing to Mashiach, is talking about Mashiach, standing as a banner to the people, and to him the nation shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed. So the word banner here it comes from the Hebrew word the Hebrew word nes, and this word was the one used in the story of the seraphim, the seraph that Moshe created from copper in the wilderness, when they have the story of the serpents, and he lifted up this copper serpent or seraph in order to bring salvation to the people. He put this seraph, that is being translated as serpent, in a pole, and that word pole is the same word that is being used here as banner. So Moshe lifted up the seraph in order to bring salvation, like a banner, so everybody is able to see. And it's exactly what Yahushua did, and that's why, and actually he, in his own words, and it's written in the book of John, and I'm going to read it because I know it by heart, but in Spanish, not in English.
And he was talking with Nicodemus.
Exactly. He said the following: and as Moshe lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so the Son of Adam has to be lifted up, so that whoever is believing in him should not perish, but possess everlasting life. So he was lifted up as a banner to the people, and everyone, any nation that is seeking him will find rest in him. And this is exactly what he has been doing, throughout all these years. And that's why Yahushua sent the disciples to every nation, to Jerusalem, to Samaria, and to every corner of the earth, in order to bring the good news. And the good news is pointing to Yahushua, that he's being set up high as a banner, so everyone that is looking at him will have salvation and restoration, and they are not going to perish. They will have everlasting life. Okay? So the second part is the great Exodus, and we know how this is going to happen. It's coming from the four corners of the earth, and actually it is written here. She will raise a banner for the nations. What's going to be that banner? Again, it's going to be Yahushua in the second coming. Every eye will see him coming on the clouds, and it's going to be the sign, the banner, that each one of us, doesn't matter where we are, in the four corners of the earth, we are going to be able to see. And he himself said that he will send at that point his messengers in order to gather his chosen ones from the four corners of the earth. Go ahead.
So we need to have our hands empty so we can grab the messenger's hand.
Absolutely. So
ready for that grip.
And this is a complementary. It says that he is going to take the house of Ephraim and the house of Yehuda. He is going to remove any problems or differences between the two houses. And we know we haven't studying all the books already of Melachim. When we see all these problems that they have between the two houses all the time, he's going to remove and cut that forever. And he is going to merge the two houses into one. That is exactly what is written in the book of Ezekiel chapter 37. And you know, if you see the connection before taking the note, this is beautifully connected as well with the Ruach of Elohim. Because if we go to the book of Romans, let me go here, chapter 8, I think is verse 11, it says, and if the Ruach of him, of Yahuwah, who raised Yahushua from the dead, dwells in you, he who raised Messiah from the dead shall also give life to your mortal bodies through his Ruach dwelling in you. We can understand this in a metaphorical way. There's a spiritual life, but also we can understand this as what's going to happen at the end. And the last trumpet is the resurrection. And this is so beautifully connected, now that I see, in the same chapter, in the chapter 37, with the valley of the dry bones. It is prophesied to Yehezkel, Ezekiel, prophesy to the bones and tell the Ruach to get into them. And you know what happened is the resurrection of the house of Israel through the Ruach of Elohim. And later on in the same chapter is the gathering of the two sticks, the two trees into one. So this is exactly what Yahushua will do at the moment he's lifted himself up as the banner once again in the second coming, and every eye will see him coming on the clouds. That's a beautiful picture, and we are hoping to get into that point in time very soon, hopefully soon. So what else we have here to share?
Oh, you have a lot of notes.
Yeah, but we're not going to read it.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm skipping a lot of notes. That's chapter 11.
Yeah.
I think the rest is quite clear what he's going to do. And then just let me read one thing here. No, we can go to chapter 12. Let's go to chapter 12, and I think we're going to connect something more. You want me to read this one and you read the 13?
Okay.
And in that day you shall say, I thank you, Yahuwah. Though you were enraged with me, your displeasure has turned back, and you have comforted me. See, it is my deliverance, and I trust and am not afraid. For Yahuwah is my strength and my song, and he has become my deliverance. And you shall draw water with joy from the fountains of deliverance. And in that day you shall say, praise Yahuwah, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the peoples. May mention that his name is exalted. Sing to Yahuwah, for he has done excellently. This is known in all the earth. Cry aloud and shout, O inhabitants of Zion, for great is the set apart one of Israel in your midst. And that's exactly Gamila, the son of Moses, because it is written in the chapter 15 of the book of Shemot. And also I'm going to read a little bit on the chapter 118 of the Hilim that is connecting all of this. But any comment you want to mention so far?
No, I'm okay.
You know, all of this is placing us after the regathering. We are already talking about the second Exodus, and this is what's going to happen during and after the second Exodus. Our heart is going to be with such a joy that we are going to be able to sing this and shout this out loud, just to recognize what the Yahuwah has done through Yahushua. You want to say something? Go ahead.
That he is going to work in all the less talented people about singing. So it's going to be like such a joy that is going to do something here in this part.
So let's read a little bit the Psalms, the Hilim chapter 118. I'm going to read from 14 to 29. Let's see what it says. Yah is my strength and song, and he has become my deliverance. The voice of rejoicing and deliverance is in the tents of the righteous. The right hand of YaHuWaH is doing mightily. The right hand of YaHuWaH is exalted. The right hand of YaHuWaH acts mightily. Let me not die, but live, resurrection, and declare the works of Yah. Yah has punished me severely, but did not give me over to death. Open to me the gates of righteousness, and I enter through them. I thank Yah. This is the gate of YaHuWaH. The righteous enter through it. I thank you, for you have answered me, and have become my deliverance. The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. This was from YaHuWaH. It is marvelous in our eyes. This is the day YaHuWaH has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It's going to be such a beautiful thing that we are going to be able to see that phrase so properly when everything is done. This is the day that YaHuWaH has made. Let us rejoice now after all what we have suffered. Let us rejoice now and be glad in it. I pray, O YaHuWaH, please save us now. I pray, O YaHuWaH, please send prosperity. Blessed is he who is coming in the name of YaHuWaH. We shall bless you from the house of YaHuWaH. Who is this one? Is Yahushua HaMashiach. He mentioned this, and it is written in the book of Matthew chapter 23 and 21. YaHuWaH is El, and he gave us light. Bind the festival offering with cords to the horns of the slaughter place. You are my El, and I praise you. You are my Elohim, and I exalt you. Give thanks to YaHuWaH, for he is good, for his chesed, his loving commitment, is everlasting. It is such a beautiful picture of what's going to happen, right?
Yeah. And now I'm going to read the Tehillim 119.
Yes, now it's 119. This is your turn. So, but this is going to happen, you know, during the second Exodus. Everything needs to happen, you know. The wrath of YaHuWaH, it is, we have been reading this about in at least in 2 places. Is the wrath. You have been enraged with me. This is the wrath. After the wrath is coming, the rejoice is coming. After the storm is coming, the peace and the calm.
The shalom.
The shalom. So let's go to Isaiah chapter 13, and we are going to finish with this. And this is your
because this
chapter.
is the bad one.
This is the bad one, yeah. But it's not that bad one, actually.
Okay. The message concerning Babel, which Yeshayahu son of Amoz saw. Lift up a banner on the high mountain, raise your voice to them, wave your hand, let them enter the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my set-apart ones. I have also called my mighty men for my displeasure, my proudly exulting ones. The noise of an uproar in the mountains, like that of many people, a noise of uproar on the reins of nations gathered together. YaHuWaH of hosts is gathering an army for battle. They are coming from a distant land, from the end of the heavens, even YaHuWaH and his weapons of displeasure, to destroy all the earth. Howl, O howl, for the day of YaHuWaH is near. It comes as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands go limp, every man's heart melts. And they say, then they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow take hold of them. They are in pain as a woman in labor. They are amazed at one another, their faces aflame. See, the day of YaHuWaH is coming, fierce, with wrath and heat of displeasure, to lay the earth waste and destroy its sinners from it. For the stars of the heavens and the constellation do not give off their light. The sun shall be dark at its rising, and the moon not send out its light. And I shall punish the world for its evil, and the wrong for the crookedness, and shall put an end to the arrogance of the proud, and lay low the pride of the ruthless. I shall make mortal men scarcer than fine gold, and mankind scarcer than the gold of Ophir. So I shall make the heavens tremble, and the earth shall shake from her place, in the wrath of YaHuWaH of hosts, and in the day of the heat of his displeasure. And it shall be as the handed gazelle, and as a ship that no man takes up. Every man turns into his own people, and everyone flees to his own land. Whoever is found is thrust through, and everyone taken falls by the sword. And their children are dashed to pieces before their eyes, their houses plundered, and their wives ravished. No, I don't know how to pronounce that word, sorry. I didn't write it before, I didn't look it. See, I am stirring up the Medes against them, who do not regard silver. And as for gold, they do not delight in it. And bows dash the young to pieces, and they have not compassion of the fruit of the womb. Their eyes bears no children. In Babel, the splendor of the rings, the comeliness of pride of the Kasdim, shall be as when Elohim overthrew Sodom and Amorah. She shall never be inhabited, nor be settled from generation to generation. Nor shall the Arabian pitch tents there, nor shepherds rest their flocks there. But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be filled with owls, and ostriches shall dwell there, and wild goats frolic there. And hyenas shall cry in their citadels, and jackals in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days are not drawn out.
Good. So I have a few comments here that I want to somehow to break down the passage. And the first one is that let's start with the verse 2. It says, "Lift up a banner on the high mountain, raise your voice to them, wave your hand, let them enter the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my set-apart ones, I have also called my mighty men for my displeasure, my proudly exalted one." But let's talk about the verse 2. We know that this message is concerning Babel, but what I see in the verse 2 is something different. We have been talking about in the previous 2 chapters about the banner that needs to be lifted up in a high mountain. So, and we said that that banner is the Messiah, right? Later on, it says, "Raise your voice to them, wave your hand." So basically, what is how I picture this verse is that a group of people and somebody's here. That is basically the banner. Waving the hand is like calling the attention, calling them just to take their attention. Let them enter the gates of the nobles. So somebody that is being prophesied destruction cannot be the one being entering the gates. That if he's talking about gates of nobles, is something good. So what I'm trying to imply here, and then that's my understanding, that basically the high mountain, we know who was going to be the higher mountains of all. Zion. The banner here is Yahushua in Zion. And raise your voice and wave your hand, like calling the people. Okay? And the people that is going to enter through the gates are the people that Yahushua, before the destruction of Babel, that is written in the same book of Yeshayahu and also in Jeremiah, and it is written also in Revelation, what he's shouting to the people
is still asking,
"Come out of her, my people." Is waving the hand, "Come out of her, my people," not to be joined and participate on their sins and not to receive the punishment.
Because as soon as he's doing that, then the punishment.
Exactly. So it's a kind of warning.
Last warning.
Yes. Hey, look at me. Come out of her. This is exactly. It's come out of her, my people. Enter through the gates of the nobles. And actually, if we go a little bit, this is calling to get out of Babel before the destruction. This is exactly what I'm trying to say. If we go to see few passages here, the word nobles here is the same word that is being used here. And let me go fast to the book of Shemot, Exodus chapter 35, verse 5 and 2. No, it's not 35. 22, let's see. This is 2 here. "And they came, both men and women, all whose heart moved them." This word over here, let me see. nadiv. Is that they were willing, have willingness. The heart was moved. Is the same word that was translated as nobles. So those are, have a perfect heart. Those that the heart is moved are the ones that are going to enter through the gates. If we connect the two passages, in the chapter 13. And what are the gates? Enter into his gates. We're just reading in the verse 118, and actually in the same book of Yeshayahu, in the chapter 26 and the chapter 62, in Tehillim chapter 24, Psalms 100 is talking about the entering into the gates with thanksgiving. Is entering into the gate of Jerusalem. Not everybody is going to enter through the gates of the cities written in the book of Revelation. So when we talk about going back to Isaiah, it's a clear message that is a warning, like the messengers that are coming in the chapter 14 of the book of Revelation, saying, don't take the mark of the beast. Babel is fallen, is the message of the three messengers.
And in the three, I can see two different groups, because it says, I have commanded my set apart ones, one group, and I have also called my mighty men for my displeasure, my proudly exalting ones. So two groups.
This one is the group of people that needs to get out of Babylon in order not to get the destruction. Come out of her, my people, and this is what he's saying. This one, I fully agree with you, and I think is connected to all of this, is that is the description of the day of Yahuwah. He's saying that even Yahuwah is coming, they are coming, this group of people is an army.
The one for the mighty men for his displeasure.
The noise of an uproar in the mountains, like that of many people, a noise of uproar of the ranks of nations gathered together. Yahuwah host is gathering an army for battle. So this is an army that is Yahuwah bringing. They are coming from a distant land, from the end of the heavens. Even Yahuwah and his weapons of displeasure to destroy all the earth. Who is this army? It's exactly the same army that Hanoch was talking about. I think I have the book
It
of
could be
Hanoch.
the same army. Remember when we were reading about Elisha, and he was
It's the same one when he opened the eyes of Gehazi.
Yeah.
So it is written in the chapter 1 of Hanoch, verse 3 through 9, concerning the elect, and I said, and took up my parable concerning them. The Kadosh Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal Elohim will tread upon the earth on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the Shamayim of Shamayim. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake. And great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame. And the earth shall be completely torn in pieces. It's the same description we have been reading here in the chapter 13 of Isaiah. And all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and compassion shall be upon them. And they shall all belong to Elohim, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be Baruch, blessed. And he will help them all. A light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And see, he comes with 10,000 of his Kodashim to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the wicked, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their wickedness which they have committed wickedly, and of all the harsh matters which wicked sinners have spoken against him. So this army is the army that is following Yahushua. It is written in the book of Revelation, chapter 19, that he is coming leading the armies of the heavens, and this is exactly the army that is being written here. It's not a physical army, it's an army that is coming from above, being led by Yahushua, and that's why he said that even Yahuwah himself represented in Yahushua that is coming as the conqueror king in order to bring justice and destructions over those that are destroying the earth. Okay?
Yeah.
It's talking about the great earthquake, is the description of the day of the day of wrath of Yahuwah. You know, there's something that we cannot go into the details, but I'm gonna keep this as an open question mark. In the verse 12, is talking about, in my point of view, is talking about two seed. Because it's talking about make mortal man, that is Enosh, the word man being translated here, scarcer than fine gold, and mankind, that is the word Adam, scarcer than the gold of Ophir. So it's like he's implying
there are
two different kinds. Enosh and Adam, two type of kinds. Maybe the chosen seed and the no chosen one. I don't know. It's an open question that is maybe interesting to take a look at it. Then it's talking about the earthquake, and I think in the chapter 26 or 24 is going into more details on the big earthquakes that is coming to the earth, and this is written all over the place in the book of Revelation, right?
Yeah. That we are going to have an earthquake that is going to change the complete shape of the earth.
Yes.
All the mountains are going to be low, and the ones that are low.
Even Yahushua was talking in the chapter 24 of the book of Yahu. He's talking about this big earthquake. Is exactly the same description that even the heavens are going to be tremble, and the Rekia is going to depart as a scroll.
Yeah.
And it's talking about the stars falling into the earth. It's exactly the same description we see here. The stars of the heavens and their constellation do not give off their light. If we go word by word comparing this chapter with the chapter 24 of Yahu and also Revelation, we see a direct connection on what's going to happen. And you know, at the beginning of the day of Yahuwah, in the chapter 6 of Revelation, we see the same description. If we go to the verse 12 to 17. And I looked when he opened the sixth seal and saw a great earthquake came to be, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of the heaven fell to the earth, as a fig tree drops its unripe figs, being shaken by a strong wind. And heaven departed like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. And the sovereigns of the earth, and the great ones, and the rich ones, and the commanders, and the mighty, and every slave, and every free one, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him sitting on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, because the great day of his wrath has come. And who is able to stand? They are declaring and recognizing that this is the beginning of the day of wrath of Yahuwah. And this is going to be marked with a big earthquake that is going to bring all of this. Okay? What else? So who is the Babel here?
The world.
Huh?
The world.
I think it's in a specific city. And we have been talking that Babel is Jerusalem, but I think the Babel that is talking about here cannot be Jerusalem. And for one reason specifically. It says, Babel, the splendor of reigns, the comeliness of the pride of the Castim shall be as when Elohim overthrew Sodom and Amorah. She shall never be inhabited, nor be settled from generation to generation. The only fact that he's mentioning that this city is not going to be ever inhabited, it cannot be Jerusalem. Because we know that he is going to choose Jerusalem once again, and he is going to bring the new Jerusalem to the same place, and it's going to be
he's going to reign from
there. So this Babel, I do believe, is talking about the daughter of Babel, that I think is a different city, and have not done this study, but I do believe it's New York City. This is not the first time that I have mentioned, but I do believe that New York City somehow gather all the descriptions that are being mentioned in the scripture. And but we need to go into more details just to put some foundations to what I'm saying. But I have been sharing this with you. That is the mother Babel and is the daughter Babel, the mother Babylon and the daughter Babylon. So I think it is talking about the daughter Babylon.
And the fact that it's going to be there is not going to disappear. It's going to stand, but in ruins.
Correct. It's not going to be inhabited anymore. So one thing that is being mentioned here, let me go to what it is. It's in the verse 14. So, and it shall be as the hunted gazelle and as a sheep that no man takes up. Every man turns to his own people and everyone flees to his own land. Last portion, we're talking about this, the policies of Ashur about the illegal immigration. And we see that happening today. And is the problem all over the countries. What we see here is something different from my point of view. And what I'm calling is the migration on reverse.
Yeah.
Because he's saying every man turns to his own people.
So they're going to go back.
Everyone flees to his own land. So people going back to their original places. But it says whoever is found of those that are going is thrust through. So it's going to be, it's going to die.
He's going to be killed.
And everyone taken falls by the sword. So, and we see the rest of the description. We have, and this is going to happen during the day of wrath. We have a different counsel. We have a different advice from Yahuwah. Let me go quickly to this one because I think it's important. It's in the same book, chapter 26, that is also describing the day of wrath. You go to the verse 20. It says the following, and this is Yahuwah speaking to his people. Go, my people, enter your rooms and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little while until the wrath or displeasure is past.
So it's not saying go to that direction, go. No, in the place that you are,
exactly.
Go to your room.
For look, Yahuwah is coming out of his place, just to connect with the previous chapter, to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their crookedness. And the earth shall disclose her blood and no longer cover her killed ones. And it's exactly as you said. You know, the world going to the original places. But Yahuwah is saying, shut the door. Hide yourself.
Hide yourself.
Until the wrath has passed.
And it's going to be at one moment that the messenger are going to be picking up the people where they are.
What happened with during Passover? They needed to shut the door and to wait until the wrath has passed. And when they got the message to get out, they went out. The same with Lot. The messenger were the one taking their hands and removing them from the city. They were not doing it by themselves. Why Yahushua said that he will send the messengers to gather the chosen one. So the messengers will be sent out, and we need to wait for the messengers before beginning our walk.
So we have to be very cautious, because it could be that the enemy, or the one that is going to appropriate this image of Mashiach, the anti-Mashiach, it could be said, oh yeah, you need to go and come to me because I'm going to save you, and people could go into that trap.
That's why I said that the many false prophets and false messiah will appear, and they will do so many wonders that even in order to deceive the chosen one.
Yeah, it's why it's so important that we can always recognize the way that Abba has to speak to our heart, to our Ruach, how he is instructing us, and he's going to work in the same way. It's not going to be something different. He has the way to communicate to each of one of you, and is going to continue doing it that way.
Yeah, Shari mentioned something that I think is important. She said, wherever you are located is your Goshen. And I do agree with that. But I think it's important this to connect it to what you said a minute ago. We need to be so connected and so in synchrony with Yahuwah in order not to be deceived, because we need to expect and wait for the messengers, but whoever can come as a messenger of light and we are not connected to Yahuwah, we are going to fall into the trap. So why I'm saying this, Yahuwah can guide us to move from one location to another.
Yeah, how he did in the past, so he did with Yahusef, with Miriam.
Correct.
Before, when somebody wanted to kill them, so, and it was like doing that, and not only with him, with also some other people.
And I know people, brothers and sisters, that have been moved and led by the Ruach of Yahuwah to move from one location to other, until we need to be obedient.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to develop this relationship with Abba in order for him to guide us with his 7 Ruachot on what we have to do, because he's going to give us the wisdom and the knowledge on what we have to do. If we need to move out from our city, if we need to move out from our country, it's not because we want it, it's because he's moving us to do it. So this is one thing. And as soon as we are in the place we have to be, it's true. That's going to be our Goshen. We need to close the door, shut the door when the moment of wrath is coming. And we need to wait for the regathering, because at the moment that the wrath is coming to the world, in one moment is when the trumpet is going to sound, and it's going to be a messenger. I know, I did it on purpose.
Okay.
To knock the door, and we need to be attentive, and we are going to be able to recognize that it's a messenger, in the same way that Abraham recognized the 3 men that came to his door and immediately recognized that were messengers, and one of them was Yahuwah, and he was running to them and bowed down to the soil because he recognized the messengers of Elohim.
Yeah.
We need to understand and develop that relationship, just not to be deceived.
And Yahuwah is so good that even though when we have a tiny doubt in our heart, we can ask him and he is going to confirm. So until we are 100% sure, he's going to do it. Remember the story of this guy who was put in this wool that he was asking, okay, Gideon, if everything is dry and only this is wet, okay, then it's you. And he did it in the opposite way. So at the end, he received a double confirmation. If we need double or triple, he's going to do it, because he wants us to trust in him and to develop that kind of relationship.
So last thing that I want to mention here, it's important. 17, and I think is what we see happening in our days. Is see, it says, I'm stirring up the meats against them, who do not regard silver, and as for gold, they do not delight in it. And bows dash the young to pieces, and they have no compassion on the fruit of the womb. Their eye spares no children.
It's like very narrow-minded people that.
But I think it's pointing to a geographical location in the world, the meats. And I want to be very careful on what I'm going to say, but we see happening today. Most of the issues are coming from the Middle East, and it's pointing to the Middle East. So it's like saying, I'm sending the Middle Eastern people, not to be specific to a specific country, Middle Eastern people
to all the world.
To all the world. And remember that we were talking about Ashur and the immigration and changing people from one place to the other and doing this illegal immigration as a military strategy. And I think this is exactly what's going on. So I'm sending the Middle Easterns to your places, those that don't regard even the babies.
Yeah. And they don't care if you're going to bribe them, because it doesn't is nothing for them.
So there's so many conspiracies going on today, saying that there is going to be internal attacks in the countries, that there are the military cells of different peoples in each of the countries. And I think those are more than theories. I think some of them are truth. And if we connect without mentioning specific countries or the religions or the
group of people,
ethnicity, you know what I'm talking about, is exactly what we see happening. You know, terror groups already in different countries, that basically is what the Assyrians were doing, and most probably this is exactly what he's talking about here in this passage. The myths already are spread on the earth. Different countries they are the one that is going to be raising up in order to do this, some of the attack. Okay, I have more passages here, but I think we run out of time. And yes, I think that's what I wanted to share. 118, conexo all, Tejirim 47. Yeah. What about you? Anything else?
Not only when Yahushua was saying, go to your room. Now we read about that. Go to your room, and it's being in prayer in a place where we can only be with our Yahuwah, with Elohim. And when I compare that, because he said, and shut the door behind you. And who's going to be in that secret place is going to be us with Yahuwah. We are going to be there in his presence. And I cannot stop imagining what happened with Moshe. When Moshe was asking him, I want to be able to see you. And he was telling him, you cannot see me. I'm going to cover you with my hand. And then my glory is going to pass over you. And then you are going to be able to see my back. So that means that when he was already passing by. And it's like the perfect moment that he shouting the door behind us is like putting he's covering us with his hand over us, and it's only him and us. And that is the moment that we have to look for every day, when we need a moment of peace, of quietness, when we are in distress, when some things are not being done in the way that maybe we are expecting. But he is in control. He knows what we need. But we need to talk with him. We need to go for him, to ask him if he can listen our heart. He already knows what is happening inside of us. He already knows how he's going to work, how he's going to do with everything that is happening. But we need to verbalize what we are needing. And he's going to be there for giving us the way out.
Absolutely.
Only that.
Absolutely. So, before finishing, I would like to ask your help. I see 29 of you connected, and I see 13 likes. So go and put unfortunately these platforms work in this way. So go and try to press this like button to see if these messages are reaching to more people. The only unfortunately the way that this platform works are in this way. So help us with that. So most probably this can reach to more people, because the time are so strange nowadays that somehow we need to operate in the spoken word of Yahuwah, and that means that we need to share with more the message that is coming from above. So the main just to close from my side, the main takeaways on this portion is beside all the connections to pointing to Mashiach, everything from his first coming, second coming, and what he did and what he initiated on the first coming, and what he's going to do in the second coming. I think the first takeaways from my point of view are what we have to do in order to enter into the gates. First one, he's waving the hand, as we were reading in chapter 13. We need to come out of here before the destruction, before the wrath of Yahuwah is coming. That's the moment, not after. The moment is before the wrath, not after, in order to be able to enter into the gates. But I think the most important point from my point of view in this portion is everything that we talk about the Ruach of Elohim. All this parallel to what's happening in today's world with the spider web, and the understanding that the source of everything is YaHuWaH with the 7 Ruachot, the 7 spirits, and that we as the assembly, we need to operate on the 7 spirits. I think that's the most important point, especially when we connected this with the chapter 13, is that we need to wait for the messengers. We need to shut the door. The only way that we are going to be able to recognize if we are already operating in the Ruach of Elohim. If we are not operating in the Ruach of Elohim, it's going to be much more difficult not to get into the trap, not to be deceived, not to be able to recognize the messengers when they're going to knock the door. So I think it's time for all of us to begin to develop the discipline, the necessary discipline, to get a closer relationship with YaHuWaH and to learn, because it's something that we need to learn, on how to operate in the Ruach of Elohim. I'm still learning. I think all of us, we are learning, but we need to have a willing heart, a teachable heart, in order to learn that now that is possible. Because later on, and this later on is coming very soon, we are not going to have the chance. Now we have the chance. And the spirits of YaHuWaH are all around the world searching out. And the spirit is, and we need to connect this, nothing is disconnected, belongs to YaHuWaH, and YaHuWaH gave it to Yahushua. And Yahushua is sending the Ruach. So let's learn this now, in order not to get into the trap and to be prepared for the day that is coming. Okay? So, having said that, thank you so much. It's a beautiful thing to be once again here. We enjoy having this time, and we were talking in the morning. We would like to be fully dedicated to this, because, every time that we begin to speak about the word of YaHuWaH, it's a different mindset and energy and a smile and something that is being lifted up, right?
Yeah. And I think that the difference is mentioning even in Revelation in Hasson. He said, when you're the ones that are living in the earth and the ones that are living somehow in the not in the earth. So it's a kind of differentiation. How do you feel? Where you are, where your focus are set. So I think that is what is happening. We are being lifted somehow when we are speaking about heavenly things with YaHuWaH.
But then, at the end, sooner or later we all need to make that decision, because the line is going to be drawn, and I think it's already drawn in the sand, and we need to make our decision and to decide for YaHuWaH and to remove ourselves completely from the world. We are living in the world, but we are not of the world. And I think that decision, sooner or later, is coming and knocking the door as well in each one of our doors, and we need to make it. So let's be prepared for that decision in order to decide with wisdom, wisely. And the only wise decision will be to decide for YaHuWaH and not for
and not be afraid of the physical death. This is nothing. We have to be worried about the spiritual death. That is our fight, everyday fight. So,
So thank you so much. We hope to see you next week. And for those of you, as Corina mentioned in the chat, that are celebrating Shavuot tomorrow, Chag Sameach, have an enjoyable day of rest and celebration of YaHuWaH. It's a beautiful day. We know that it's connected to the giving of the Torah, and also importantly to the giving of the Ruach of Elohim that we have been speaking about today. So if you are celebrating tomorrow, Chag Sameach, enjoy the day, and we hope to see you next week in the continuation of this study.
Have a willing.
So have a wonderful day of rest, of Shabbat, and have a wonderful week. See you all next week. Shabbat Shalom, and YaHuWaH be with you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is like him, the lion and the lamb, seated on the throne. Mountains bow down and every ocean roars to the Lord of hosts. Raise up angels and the saints sing praise. Who is like him, the lion and the lamb, seated on the throne? Mountains bow down and every ocean roars to the Lord of hosts. Praise Adonai, from the rising of the sun till the end of every day. Praise Adonai, all the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise. Sing praise. Who is like him, the lion and the lamb, seated on the throne? Mountains bow down and every ocean roars to the Lord of hosts. Praise Adonai, from the rising of the sun till the end of every day. Praise Adonai, all the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise.